Throughout history, powerful rulers looked at a cup of coffee and saw something terrifying, a direct threat to their empire. From paranoid governors to literal kings, dictators have spent centuries trying to wipe coffee off the face of the earth. Chapter 1. The Governor's Hurt Feelings. We are in Mecca. Coffee is the hottest new trend here. People aren't just drinking it at home. They are gathering in these brand new lively establishments called coffee houses to chat, listen to music and play chess. Sounds great. Well, for everyone except this guy. Meet Khair Beg. He's the governor of Mecca and he takes himself very seriously. One evening he's out enjoying a nice peaceful stroll when he passes by one of these new coffee houses.
Oh, the governor's robes are a bit too tight, he can't see his feet. Try as he might, he thinks he's a lion, but he's just a fat cat who's trying to text me. Good luck with that.
Are they singing about my weight?
Technically, sir, I believe they're also mocking your tax policies in the second verse. It's quite catchy.
Shut up! Who gave them permission to stay up this late and make fun of me?
Khair Beg stormed into the coffee house and shut it down on the spot. You see, before coffee, the rules of society were simple. The sun goes down, you go to sleep. But this stuff kept people wide awake and hyper-focused until 2 a.m. And what do energized people do when they're sitting around a table in the dead of night? They talk, they discuss politics, and worst of all, they look at the palace and realize, hey, our governor kinda sucks. Khair Beg saw that while his citizens were busy roasting the beans, they were also brutally roasting him.
This black sludge is an absolute menace to society. It causes moral decay, yes. We must outlaw it immediately.
Your Excellency, with all due respect, people love this drink. On what legal grounds can we actually ban it?
Easy. We'll just tell everyone coffee is intoxicating. Worse than alcohol. And it's bad for your health. Hey, you over there, court physician. Coffee is a deadly poison, right?
Well, physically speaking, it actually just makes you jittery and go to the bathroom a lot.
I said it's a deadly poison, right?
Right, yes. A single sip will cause your brain to rot. Entirely toxic. And just like that, the first official coffee ban in history was born. Khair Beg ordered all coffee houses in Mecca to be closed. He had huge piles of coffee beans burnt in the streets, and anyone caught drinking it was publicly beaten. He thought he had won, but there was just one massive flaw in his plan. Khair Beg had a boss.
Message from the Sultan of Cairo.
Ah, excellent. He is undoubtedly writing to praise my brilliant leadership. Read it aloud.
Dear Khair Beg, are you completely out of your mind? I drink coffee every day. My advisors drink coffee. The entire capital drinks coffee. Undo this ridiculous ban immediately, you absolute clown, or face my wrath. Sincerely, the Sultan.
Yeah, the Sultan, who was the ultimate authority, basically told Khair Beg that his wounded pride wasn't a good enough reason to take away everyone's caffeine. The ban was overturned just a few months after it was imposed. Coffee won the first round in the Middle East, but as traders started shipping these magical beans across the Mediterranean and into Europe, the powerful elites there didn't see a refreshing beverage. They saw the literal work of the devil. Chapter 2. The Devil's Drink. To a European public used to drinking wine and beer all day, this new beverage was completely alien. It was piping hot, pitch black, and tasted incredibly bitter. Naturally, the powerful elite of Europe reacted with calm, logical curiosity. Look at it, your holiness. It bubbles, it smokes. It is black as the abyss of hell itself. And worse, it comes from the Middle East. It is the favorite beverage of the Ottoman Empire. This isn't just a drink, it's an Islamic conspiracy to corrupt Christian souls. The church was terrified, and since coffee was associated with Islam, priests instantly labeled it the devil's drink and the bitter invention of Satan. They argued true Christians should stick to wine, since Jesus actually blessed it, and declared coffee a spiritual threat. So cardinals took the issue straight to the ultimate boss, Pope Clement VIII. Holy Father, you must issue a papal decree. Excommunicate anyone who sips this satanic sludge. Ban it from Europe forever. Fine, but if I'm going to officially banish a drink to hell, I should probably taste it first. Bring me a cup. Holy Mother of God! This is absolutely incredible! But
But, Holy Father, this is the liquid trap of the devil. Nonsense! This drink is so delicious, it would be a pity to let the infidels have a monopoly on it. We shall fool Satan. I hereby baptize this coffee. It is now an official Christian beverage.
According to legend, Pope Clement VIII blessed the coffee beans, effectively saving the drink for the Western world. Overnight, it went from the devil's brew to holy water. Subscribe if you're drinking coffee right now. Chapter 3. Does coffee make men impotent? Once coffee got the Pope's holy seal of approval, it spread across Europe like wildfire. But nowhere went crazier for it than London. By the 1670s, the city was absolutely packed with coffee houses. They were the ultimate intellectual hubs, where writers, politicians, and ordinary citizens would gather to debate and exchange ideas. But then, out of nowhere, a scandalous, highly viral pamphlet was dropped on the streets of London. It was called the Women's Petition Against Coffee.
Hear ye, hear ye! We, the neglected wives of London, demand a ban on this abominable heathenish drink called coffee. It is ruining our marriages!
Now, I have to pause here for a sec. You see, those pamphlets of old were kinda like Twitter or Reddit. Anyone could print them, and when successful, they spread among the population like crazy. And this pamphlet didn't hold back. The anonymous writers claimed that coffee was transforming their once manly husbands into shallow chatterboxes who did nothing but gossip in cafes all day. But their biggest complaint, they claimed coffee was making men completely impotent.
Coffee drinking men are as unfruitful as the very deserts where this unholy berry is grown.
I say, unfruitful. We have 12 children, Martha. You're literally pregnant right now.
The men of London immediately struck back with their own pamphlet, The Man's Answer, claiming that coffee actually made them way better husbands because it improved potency and, most importantly, and I quote, dried up the crude flatulent humors that caused them to pass gas in bed. Now, if you take this at face value, this looks like a classic hilarious 17th century War of the Sexes. But if you dig beneath the surface, you realize that something incredibly fishy was going on. Because this entire women's petition was almost certainly massive political propaganda. Modern historians have pointed out that the petition likely wasn't written by angry wives at all. In reality, women weren't even anti-coffee. A huge number of London coffee houses were actually owned, managed, and run by women, often widows, who built incredibly successful businesses out of them. So if the women didn't write it, who did? Let's meet King Charles II.
They are talking about me, aren't they? I know they are talking about me.
Sire, they're just drinking their morning brew and discussing the economy.
That's how it starts. Do you remember what happened to my father, Charles I? His head got chopped off by revolutionaries. And when did these coffee houses start popping up? During the years England had no king. These places are hotbeds of political unrest.
Bingo! King Charles II was absolutely terrified of losing his crown and his head. For centuries, Europeans drank beer and wine all day. But alcohol makes people foggy-headed and sleepy until they pass out. You can't really overthrow a monarchy when you can't see straight. But coffee gave people an intense, laser-like focus. Instead of getting drunk, citizens suddenly were sitting around completely sober, reading manifestos and questioning authority. That's why when the king looked at coffee houses, he didn't see people enjoying a morning cup of joe. He saw
thousands of highly alert, hyper-focused traitors sitting around plotting my downfall.
So his government likely ghostwrote the Women's Petition as a shadow marketing campaign to make coffee drinkers look bad, lazy, and unmasculine. When the fake drama didn't stop people from drinking coffee, King Charles finally lost his patience. Just 1 year later, he issued a royal decree completely banning all coffee houses.
You know what? Never mind. Unban it right now.
The public backlash was so sudden and severe that the king had to completely retract the ban.
A king can fight an army, but he cannot fight a population going through severe caffeine withdrawal.
Chapter 4. The Twin Experiment. While the King of England was busy using fake drama to stop people from drinking coffee, over in Sweden, another king, Gustav III, was about to take his hatred of caffeine to a scientific and deeply disturbing new level.
It's toxic, I tell you. It's a liquid plague.
First, my father banned it and confiscated everyone's coffee cups. But do they stop? No, they are bootlegging coffee beans in the shadows. I need proof to show these ungrateful peasants that caffeine is a one-way ticket to the graveyard. King Gustav decided to conduct what many historians consider to be the first randomized clinical trial in human history. And his human lab rats, a pair of identical twins who had just been sentenced to death for murder. Good news, boys. I'm canceling your executions. You get to live.
Thank you, Your Majesty.
On one condition, you must drink 3 full pots of coffee every single day for the rest of your life. And you must drink 3 full pots of tea every single day. Top physicians will monitor you until the sweet release of death proves my point.
Wait, so I get to drink coffee for free instead of getting hanged? I accept. Why does he get to drink coffee while I get this lousy tea?
I mean, you can always be executed.
No, tea is good. I love tea.
The experiment officially began. Day after day, the twins sat in their cell, chugging pots of hot beverages while the doctors intensely watched them, waiting for their hearts to explode or their skin to melt off. Years passed, then decades, and this is where the grand scientific experiment went absolutely off the rails.
I don't feel so good.
Yep, the first doctor assigned to the case died of old age. A few years later, the second doctor died too. Any day now. Surely that coffee drinker is gonna drop dead any second. In 1792, King Gustav III was assassinated. He died without ever getting his answer. Years later, the tea-drinking twin passed away at the ripe old age of 83, which was practically immortal for the 18th century, when the average life expectancy in Sweden was around 38. And the coffee drinker? He outlived the tea twin, both doctors, and even the king who tried to prove that coffee was poison. The experiment was an absolute spectacular failure for the monarchy. As soon as the government finally gave up and lifted the ban in the 1820s, the Swedish public went so completely wild for coffee that now Sweden is one of the top coffee-consuming nations on the entire planet. Chapter 5. The Coffee Sniffers. While Sweden was busy treating coffee like a sci-fi poison experiment, its neighbor Prussia was dealing with a completely different problem, a massive financial crisis. This is King Frederick the Great. As he looked over his financial books, he noticed a massive glaring leak. A lot of our money is leaving the country every year just to import foreign coffee beans. This is disgusting, absolute madness. My subjects are drinking away our nation's wealth 1 cup at a time. This stops now.
But, Your Majesty, people love coffee. It helps them focus. What should they drink instead?
Beer. It supports our breweries, it makes people happy and docile, and it keeps the money inside Prussia. Coffee should be only for the elite. King Frederick slapped a massive tax on coffee, making it an elite-only beverage. But the Prussian public basically looked at the king and said, yeah, no way. Instead of switching to beer for breakfast, the entire country turned to the black coffee market. Smuggling green unroasted coffee beans became the most lucrative illegal trade in the country. Merchants, bakers, and even housewives became full-time coffee bootleggers. Since green beans have almost no smell, they were incredibly easy to sneak past the guards. I'm not gonna let a bunch of caffeinated peasants outsmart me. From now on, only the state has a monopoly on coffee roasting. It is now a crime to roast your own beans. And to enforce it, he deployed a terrifying new task force. He hired a specialized squad of 400 disabled war veterans. Their entire job description was to wander the streets with their noses up in the air and follow the aroma of roasting coffee. The public called them the coffee sniffers. Also, I create jobs for people with disabilities. That was actually pretty cool. And the public loved them. No, coffee sniffers had the legal authority to march into your house, rip open your cabinets, and search your property without a warrant. Aha! I smell Arabica, with a hint of caramel, notes of April sunrise, and intense bouquet of jasmine. Hands where I can see them, criminal! I swear, it's just burnt toast, officer. The coffee sniffers were absolutely despised by the general public. They were basically the 18th century equivalent of an incredibly invasive drug task force, but against breakfast. And since the sniffers got to keep a quarter of whatever massive fine they levied, they were aggressively motivated to bust everyone, guilty or not. Toast or not, pay the fine. For 6 long years, Prussians lived in absolute terror of roasting their coffee beans. Eventually, Frederick the Great died, and just 1 year later, his successor completely abolished the monopoly. The coffee sniffers were disbanded, and nobody missed them. So you see, for 500 years, dictators and kings tried to ban coffee for one simple reason. It's much harder to control people who are not constantly inebriated on beer or wine. But here's the ultimate irony. Today's corporate elites don't ban coffee. They give it away for free in the break room, because if they can't stop people from drinking it, they might as well use it to make us ignore our body's need to rest and make us work longer hours. And speaking of the elites living in a completely different reality, from eating Egyptian mummies to buying multi-million-dollar yachts just to use as floating garages, the ultra-rich have always done absolutely absurd things to show off, to see some of the craziest things they did throughout history. And the one modern flex that will probably get them destroyed? Click here to watch our next video, and please subscribe.